Grayson was listening to Ashley and Naomi guffaw over the flowers and guffawing over Grayson and how great he is. And guess what? It's another thing they haven't made me care about. What is up, Beyond the Gates people? I am here to talk about today's Thursday episode of the show, and I wish I could have some renewed energy. I wish the show would give me something good to talk about, but unfortunately, I found today's episode very not entertaining, which is what most episodes are these days with this show, unfortunately. But let's get into it anyway. Smitty and Martin started the episode working while Samantha was complaining about the Wi-Fi password. I guess they change their Wi-Fi passwords every so often and write it down on some sort of knickknack or something that played into the episode later. But yeah, Samantha still wants to talk to June about coming to the Catillion. Now, what was almost interesting, the key being almost, was Tyrell coming home in a panic saying some dude has been following him. We saw this in last week's preview. Of course, the preview with this show a lot tends to be more interesting than what actually happens. And that's what happened here. Tyrell is not being followed. It's not some new interesting story. No, it is just a part of Martin's new security detail that his campaign manager wanted and Vernon said was probably a good idea. Martin is going to have security watching the house day and night. They will each get a bodyguard. Samantha was hoping her bodyguard is hot so that she can have a cool factor at school. Smitty, of course, was not on board with this. Martin apologized for not discussing this with the family. He said he was going to. He's not regressing and making decisions for the family without talking to the family. But Smitty, when they talked alone, was, of course, worried because he's working on this, this breathtaking, dangerous story that's just so riveting to watch. And he can't have an armed bodyguard watching him. He says he only wants a bodyguard for when he's at the house or when he's with Martin or when he's with the kids, but not when he's alone. That led to Smitty going to the hospital later. Earlier in the episode, Jacob was actually at a different place. It was not the alley from what I could see. We only saw Jacob very little in this episode, but he was talking to Smitty, trying to talk Smitty out of going to the hospital and sniffing around. And then later, Jacob finally called Elon, his father, Mr. Chief of Police, to give him an update on his undercover work. The odd thing about this to me was that when Elon heard that Jacob had more information, he was shocked. He was almost shocked that the investigation was still going, which makes no sense to this whole ordeal. But Jacob gave Elon an update that his informant from the hospital is saying that someone higher up at the hospital is a woman that's involved with this impaler case. So, yeah, I guess Elon's going to have that looked into. Then Jacob got a call from Grayson later in the episode saying that people are watching and Jacob needs to be careful. But yes, Smitty snuck into the hospital, snuck into Nicole's office, got on Nicole's computer. The whole password thing from earlier played into this because Nicole had a password written down on something in her office that Smitty just happened to find. Smitty got into her computer but was busted by Naomi walking in to see Smitty sitting at Nicole's desk. And, I mean, the overall picture of this impaler storyline, to me, I don't know how everyone else feels, but I feel like most people feel similar from what I see online. It's a waste of our time. This entire storyline has failed. It is falling flat every step of the way. It is not good TV. It is not well written. They do not show us the danger. The stakes have yet to be raised no matter how many times they wanted to tell us that it's dangerous. Maybe Jacob will end up dying, but if Jacob ends up dying for this bad storyline, I mean, sucks for Jacob, that's for sure. But I do think this impaler storyline is a waste of time to actually watch. Tyrell and Samantha ended up at Orphe Jean's to once again try and convince June to go to the Catillion. Samantha's bodyguard was a woman, by the way, which she was upset about because I guess that's not going to be a cool protector for her with the other girls at school. Tyrell wanted to know what was really bothering Samantha, but we never really got to that. Tyrell talked to June, or at least tried to, and June said she doesn't want to talk about it. She's still not going to the Catillion. And Samantha called out June at the end, saying that June needs to start being there for her kids for once and stop being insecure about the Catillion, which Samantha is kind of right about. I do think that is why June does not want to go to the Catillion. But I'm having a hard time carrying, like most of these storylines, I'm having a hard time carrying about the Catillion. Or, I think June's going to change her mind and go to the Catillion. So I feel like it's just another storyline wasting my time. Speaking of wasting time, I'm not even going to talk about it much because I did not pay attention to their scenes today. Someone stuck up on Ashley at the beginning of the episode, very dramatically. They even shot it dramatically with Ashley turning around all scared. But it was, of course, just Grayson with a rose. I did not watch their later scene. I did see when Grayson was listening to Ashley and Naomi guffaw over the flowers and guffawing over Grayson and how great he is. And guess what? It's another thing they haven't made me care about. I don't care if Ashley finds out that Grayson was involved with a shady thing and it's going to cause problems for their relationship, because I don't see anyone actually invested in the Ashley and Grayson relationship. Is anyone in the comments invested in the Ashley and Grayson relationship? I highly doubt it. I will say it was kind of nice to see Marcel and Elon scenes today. It's a change of pace over the rest of these boring things going on with this show. They talked about some domestic case at the beginning. Of course, Leslie did have to arrive, which will bother some people in the comments. Elon did not want them meeting up at the police station, which I think is fair. But when alone, Leslie and Marcel talked about Darlene because Leslie got into it with Elon's wife the other day. And Marcel is saying that Darlene has never liked him either and just tolerated him because Darlene is friends with Marcel's soon-to-be ex-wife. Marcel made note that his wife, or soon-to-be ex, and Darlene are both super judgmental, which is how they portrayed Darlene so far. She does come across as a very judgmental character. I did laugh at a later scene, though, when Elon was upset that Leslie was still there at the cop shop, and Marcel watched as Leslie walked away, and she said, "I guess you don't see this kind of view at home," and Marcel gave this goofy smile to an upset Elon after he was watching Leslie walk away. That did make me laugh. We did learn that Marcel, I guess, is close to the chief of staff at the hospital for some reason. So Elon wants Marcel to talk to her and see if she might be involved with this impaler case. But I mean, should I care about those scenes between Marcel and the chief of staff? Or will we even see them? Probably not even see them, would be my guess. Naomi met up with Darlene at Orphe Jean's when June was working, of course. June was asking where Jacob has been, and that was one of the subjects that Darlene and Naomi talked about. But Darlene more so wanted to talk about Izaiah and Isaiah's questionable decisions, like trying to ask Naomi for the burner phone to talk to Jacob and all of that. But she also wanted to talk about how she finally met Eva. And Naomi agreed that Eva did wrong with Leslie, but brought up that Nicole is comfortable with Eva now, and Eva seems to have turned things around with Ted. Darlene brought up how Leslie inserted herself with the lunch the other day, leaving her unimpressed about Leslie and Eva. Naomi did bring up how she and Darlene did not hit it off right away, but Darlene kind of played that off. And Darlene, I think, agrees that she doesn't want to see Izaiah run off again if she doesn't get along with Eva, because Izaiah has just finally came home after so long. But I think that by the end of the episode, Darlene was saying that she can handle a backstabber like Eva. However, by the end, Leslie came into Orphe Jean's to run into Darlene, and they went at it again. And Leslie did kind of have a warning for Darlene, which Darlene asked if it was a threat, and she said it was a threat for Darlene's frigid ass. So on one hand, I kind of like the Darlene and Leslie scenes, but on the other hand, it's just another person for Leslie to annoy, another rivalry for Leslie, when I just want to see Leslie have a real story. When's that going to happen again? The other thing to happen today was Izaiah tracking down Eva, who had been avoiding him for the past day after the whole lunch with his mother. She was trying to avoid his questions at first with Izaiah, bringing up the fact that he feels like she is ghosting him. Eva did finally talk about how she heard Darlene call Eva the spawn of Satan when she was overhearing Izaiah and Darlene talk, and she heard Izaiah not defend her because there was a long pause and then Eva left. Izaiah was saying that Eva dipped out too soon and he didn't want to go off on Darlene in the country club, but he did defend Eva. I don't recall seeing Izaiah defend Eva that much. I don't know if that is a case of the show making something happen off screen, which is probable. Another big part as to why so many storylines are falling flat on this show. But he's saying he did. And then when he said he defended Eva, that seemed to make things worse for Eva, because then Eva is feeling like Darlene's gonna blame Eva for turning her baby boy against her. So Izaiah kind of in a lose-lose situation there, but it's Darlene's fault and not Eva's. Izaiah brought up how Darlene was slow to warm up to Naomi too, and Eva said that she is sure that Darlene didn't call Naomi the spawn of Satan, which is also true. Eva was trying to tell Izaiah that he had a normal family growing up, and she didn't. But I guess by the end, they kind of worked things out a bit. Izaiah got her some bracelet from some girl at Winterfest who got ice for him when he fell on his ass when he was trying ice skating, and when he made that joke that he was falling for Eva, which I do remember that happening. Don't remember any girl with a necklace or selling necklaces in that scene. But, I guess it was something that actually did sort of kind of happen on screen to kind of tie into this gift that he had for Eva. But I don't know if these scenes really made me care too much about Izaiah and Eva. Even though in recent weeks I have been caring about them more, it's still something that is struggling to, not fall flat on this show. So I guess to sum up today's episode, most things fell flat per usual. That's how I feel about it. I would love to see this show get better, but it's not. It is my patience, in case you can't tell, in recent weeks, my patience for the storylines improving or just becoming more entertaining is definitely, I don't have a lot of the patience left. So I'm just complaining about most stories, I feel like, but that's how I feel. That's how the writing has become for this show, unfortunately.